ำหรับ2 เรื่องราวสำคัญเลยในวันนี้ครับก็คือตามชื่อสัมมนาเลยเรื่องราวแรกคือวิทยาศาสตร์กับการจัดการความเครียดซึ่งเราจะได้รับการแบ่งปันข้อมูลนี้โดยผู้อำนวยการนะครับฝ่ายวิจัยและพัฒนาของ NuSkin ฟอร์มาเนกระดับโลกเลยและข้อมูลที่2ก็คือเรื่องราวของผลิตภัณฑ์ MYND 360 Feel C นะครับนวัตกรรมใหม่แห่งการจัดการสุขภาวะจิตซึ่งเราจะได้รับการแบ่งปันข้อมูลนี้โดยผู้จัดการฝ่ายการสื่อสารและการศึกษาผลิตภัณฑ์ฟอร์มาเนกคุณรีเบคก้าเมเจอร์นะครับและแน่นอนครับเข้าสู่หัวข้อแรกของเราเลยนั่นคือวิทยาศาสตร์จัดการความเครียดครับซึ่งเราจะได้รับเกียรติแบ่งปันโดยอย่างที่บอกไปแล้วผู้อำนวยการฝ่ายวิจัยและพัฒนาผลิตภัณฑ์ NuSkin ครับไม่รอช้าครับนิ้วชี้จ่อที่เลข8นะครับและไปพบกับเรื่องราวของวิทยาศาสตร์จัดการความเครียดครับโดยผู้อำนวยการฝ่ายวิจัยและพัฒนาครับ Please welcome Director of Research and Development รัวๆต้อนรับดร. Shelly Rebeca ครับ
Hello. It's great to be here. Let me share my slide. Okay, well, hopefully let me know if you can't see my slides. But I am so excited to be here. And tonight, or this morning, I will be talking about the science behind stress. And so let's start with, what is stress? So stress is your body's response to any type of change that causes this physical, emotional, or psychological strain. And, really how we respond to stress really does affect our overall well-being. And around 3/4 of adults say they have experienced health impacts due to stress in just the last month. And some of these health impacts can be things like having headaches, feeling tired or fatigued, feeling nervous or anxious, or even feeling depressed. So stress is definitely something that impacts all of us, and it really does impact our overall wellness. So when we think about stress, there's really 2 types of stress. And that first one is acute stress. And we'll talk about how acute stress is short-lived, where chronic is this ongoing threat. So acute stressors are short-lived. This is things that we should get stressed. We should have the stress response. So if you're driving in heavy traffic, if you have to speak in front of a large crowd, if you have a big deadline at work or school, if you're in a competition or just some other traumatic event, we really do need to have that stress response. But the problem is when we have chronic stress, this stress that just does not go away, right? It can be things like emotional stress. Maybe you have issues at home or at work or financial insecurity or even health challenges. And this causes this ongoing stress, and our bodies just aren't designed to handle this chronic stress. They really are meant to handle acute stress effectively. And so what happens if you just have this chronic response long term? It can cause a lot of issues. So when you have an acute stress response, several things happen really all at once, right? Probably the most noticeable one is that you have an increase in your heart rate. It can cause rapid breathing, even you just have this burst of energy, right? So you can, run from the mountain lion that's chasing you or speak in front of a lot of people. And when this happens, we tend to basically be less aware of pain. And that really helps if you're in a life-threatening situation. But our digestive system can also slow down and our blood pressure can spike, right, to provide this quick energy. So this makes sense. But the problem happens, again, when we have this chronic response to stress, when basically all the stress just will not go away. And this is when you can have things like memory problems. It can even cause weight gain. If that happens long term, it can cause just anxiety. It can impact your sleep. It can even impact heart health, how you respond and feel pain. And it can also decrease your energy levels. So really, again, we just want to reiterate that, what we're really talking about stress here is this chronic response to stress and this chronic stress that we want to find ways to help. And so there's a number of ways that you can help with chronic response to stress. And one way is ingredients that you can find in supplements. And so we wanted to talk about the science of a couple of different ingredients that can really help you have a healthier response to stress. And so the first ingredient is casein hydrolysate. And this is actually a peptide that comes from casein. So casein is a milk protein and it undergoes a process, hydrolysis, where a specific peptide is isolated. And we call this a casozepine peptide or casein hydrolysate. And basically, this is a specific peptide that has been clinically shown to reduce stress symptoms, and it doesn't have any side effects. So let's look at a couple studies with this specific ingredient. So the first study is in adults. It's actually in men and women, and this was a month-long or a 30-day study. So it was a crossover study. So both the same group of people received placebo. They had a 12-day washout, and then they received the casein hydrolysate at 150 milligrams. And basically, this study looked at their physiological reactions in response to mental stress. And the mental stress is interesting in this case. It was something called the Stroop test. And so the Stroop test, an example of this would be you basically have to name the color of a color word, but there's a mismatch between the ink color and the word. It doesn't seem hard, but you should try it. It's actually pretty challenging and stress-inducing. And what they found in the study is that people that took the casein hydrolysate had a lower reactivity, stress reactivity, if you looked at their systolic blood pressure and their diastolic blood pressure. So significantly less stress response if they took the casein hydrolysate compared to the placebo, especially in people that were high responders that had this effect, this higher stress response to the stressor. Another study with the same ingredient was in 63 women. And this was in a population that they were showing some stress. And again, this was a 30-day study with a 3-week washout. So again, this was a crossover study. So the subjects received the placebo or the treatment. They had a 3-week washout, and then they received the other treatment. And they were evaluated for both physiological but also psychological stress through questionnaires. And what they saw was significant improvements in stress in 5 different areas compared to placebo. And the areas of improvement were areas of digestion, heart health or cardiovascular health, intellectual, emotional, and social well-being. So really great improvements in a number of different areas that we're looking at stress in different ways. Another study with the same ingredient, casein hydrolysate, looked at effects on sleep. And when we talk about stress, it is very related, closely related to sleep. When you are more stressed, you tend to not sleep as well, right? That's one of those things that we talked about earlier on. Chronic stress can cause sleep issues. And so in this specific study, it was in adults that reported they had sleep trouble. They also reported that they had stress at work. They received 150 milligrams of the casein hydrolysate or placebo, again, for 4 weeks or a month. And they actually evaluated sleep using a validated questionnaire called the PSQI. And what they showed is that sleep quality improved significantly compared to baseline after just 2 or 4 weeks. And in women, sleep quality significantly improved compared to placebo. So again, just showing that this casein hydrolysate, it helps with stress, but this can also help with sleep as well. And again, stress and sleep are very related to each other and impact one another. So that's the first ingredient. The second ingredient that I wanted to cover is L-theanine. And L-theanine is actually an amino acid that you find in black, green, and white teas from Camellia sinensis. And if raw from green tea, it can be fermented additionally. And basically, the health benefits are pretty widespread with L-theanine. It's been studied as an antioxidant. It helps with oxidative stress. It helps with inflammatory balance. It has a neuroprotective effect. It helps with sleep quality. It helps with stress. And it also helps with a positive mood. And so there's a few different actions that have been proposed for L-theanine. And one of those is that it can attenuate or really dampen that sympathetic nervous activation response. But the main one that's been studied, and we'll talk about further on the next slide, is that it can help generate those alpha brainwaves. So let's talk about what alpha brainwaves are. So fortunately, we're able to look at brainwave patterns using EEGs. And basically, what EEGs are looking at is these electrical impulses that are coming from our neurons or our brain cells that can communicate with each other through these signals. And so there's all different types of brain waves. You can see on the slide, there's gamma, there's beta, there's alpha, there's theta, delta. But what we see with L-theanine specifically is it actually increases the alpha waves. And these are the brain waves that are really produced when you're in a very reflective, you're alert, you're creative, you're thoughtful. So it's definitely the type of waves that do help you feel more calm and less stressed. So let's look at a couple studies that have used L-theanine. So the first study is, again, a crossover study. So this, again, was in adults that received the placebo. They then had a washout period, and then they received 200 milligrams of L-theanine. And in this study, they actually induced stress with math. So they asked them to do a number of math tests or math problems to induce stress. And what they saw was that L-theanine significantly increased, again, the alpha power, those alpha waves, again, which is this major alpha wave activity. And again, this is indicating this more relaxed and calm state. And this ingredient was also shown to be very safe and well tolerated by the subjects in the study. So the next study was also done in healthy adults. Again, this was a crossover study. So they came to the lab once, they got a placebo, they came again, they got the 200 milligrams of L-theanine. And in this study, they actually induced stress both physically and mentally. And so the physical stress was actually putting their wrists in like ice cold water for a minute. And the mental task they were asked to do math along with hearing loud noise. And so again, what they saw was in these individuals that really responded to these stressors, that the individuals that had L-theanine had a reduced rise in blood pressure with those individuals that had the high stress response. And that's what's shown in the graph, that they had a significantly lower systolic blood pressure when induced with stress. And in the same study, they also looked at the impact of L-theanine on the profile of mood states, or PALM scores. And this can actually be used as a marker of tension and anxiety after a mental task. And we see a significant decrease with L-theanine with that impact on tension and anxiety. So again, this study also showed, like the previous one, that L-theanine really reduced the anxiety, the stress compared to placebo after having these mental tasks and challenges. So again, two ingredients that can really help with chronic stress are casein hydrolysate. This is an ingredient that has been studied for benefits with both physiological but also psychological stress, as well as sleep, as we saw in the one study, and L-theanine, this unique ingredient that can really help reduce stress, but also really impact that alpha power, those alpha waves. And so that is actually all I had for you tonight. And it has been such a pleasure talking to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shelly, to sacrifice your time at the Monday night for sharing for us. Thank you so much นะครับ888รัวๆครับ Give the weekend โดย press number 8นะครับ888รัวๆนะครับให้กับดร. Shelly เลยนะครับโอ้โหเราได้รู้ไปแล้วในเรื่องของวิทยาศาสตร์จัดการความเครียดนะครับว่าสามารถใช้สารอาหารเนี่ยในการจัดการความเครียดโดยมีงานวิจัยรองรับทางวิทยาศาสตร์ได้อย่างไรเอาละคราวนี้ครับเข้าสู่พาร์ทต่อไปของเรากันเลยนะครับที่เราจะมารู้กันว่าสุดยอดนวัตกรรมอย่าง MYND 360 Feel C เนี่ยสามารถนะการกับความเครียดได้อย่างไรนะครับโดยผู้ที่จะมาแบ่งปันนะครับในเรื่องราวนี้ครับท่านดำรงตำแหน่งเป็นผู้จัดการฝ่ายการสื่อสารและการศึกษานะครับของผลิตภัณฑ์ Pharmanex นะครับไม่รอช้าครับนิ้วชี้จ่อที่เลข8ครับและ please welcome our manager of education and communication 888รัวๆต้อนรับคุณ Rebeca Major ครับ
Thank you so much for having me here today. Let me get my slide share going and we can jump right in. I am so excited to introduce a brand new product that's coming to Thailand soon. And that is our first product in the MYND 360 line here. So let's just start by giving a little bit of background. I'm going to start by talking about stress and its impact on our overall health and well-being. Now, we just got a fantastic science presentation from Dr. Shelly. So I'm going to be focused more on the product and the benefits that we can share in association with the product. So research shows that stress can have a very large impact on our overall health and well-being. And we've already learned a little bit about what that impact can look like. But in terms of prevalence, 63% of people in this particular survey said that they or reported one or more concerns related to stress. So stress is very common. I've felt it. Most of you have probably felt it at least once in your life, probably a lot more than once. And really, consumers define mental well-being as the number one aspect of being healthy, right? If we have good mental health, it can make a massive difference in how our day-to-day lives happen and how happy we are. So 84% of consumers are interested in taking a brain health supplement, in large part because of how important this is. The mental wellness space in terms of supplements is actually growing really, really fast. It's actually on track to more than double in the next 5 years. And so there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of potential and there's a lot of opportunity. In terms of mental wellness specifically, brain health supplements are predicted to grow faster than nearly any other category in the next few years. And so, again, this is a really great opportunity. It's great timing. We know mental health is important to people. We know that people are starting to look for more solutions. But it's not enough to just have a solution. What we actually found in our own research is that safety was paramount. Safety was so important when it comes to actually taking a mental health or cognitive health product. And that's because our brain is really what drives a lot of how we feel and how we identify ourselves, right? It makes us who we are in a lot of ways. And so we don't want to mess that up. And so safety is super important. And we know that, and consumers expect that. And so of course, it's going to be a priority. It's a priority with all of our supplements as part of our success quality process. It's really built into this already. And so we are kind of uniquely positioned in that sense because we're already doing a lot of the things that drive that safety. Of course, we have the rest of the success quality process as well. All of it is important for ensuring that you get a high quality product. That is really one of our top priorities here. So that includes everything from selection to sourcing the right raw materials to specifications, making sure they're standardized in the right ways. Safety, again, is super important. We want to make sure that we're choosing safe ingredients that have a lot of research on them in people at the dose we're using. And of course, substantiation is also really important. And Dr. Shelly already shared a lot of the research behind this new product that we're going to talk about today, so that you can feel confident that there is a lot of substantiation too. So without further ado, let's move into Feel C. Let's start talking about this new product, Feel C. So MYND 360 is the brand, and it's really all about providing holistic solutions to provide cognitive support. So today we're really going to focus on one aspect of that, and that is calm. And what I mean by calm is really helping with de-stressing to help rejuvenate your mind and help you handle stress better. So that's really what we're going to focus on with Feel C. That involves slowing our brain waves to those alpha waves. It involves rejuvenating our brain's chemistry so that we can really handle stress better. So this is what Feel C is all about. It's about reducing feelings of stress so that you can manage your tension better and be more positive. There are 2 key ingredients that power Feel C. The first is L-theanine. Now, L-theanine is provided in a dose of 200 milligrams in this product. It is in there because it helps to support those feelings of calm that are so important when you're managing your stress. And it also helps to promote those alpha brain waves that are associated with that calm, relaxed mental state. So this is a really cool ingredient. It's an amino acid. We are actually using a fermented source, but it can be derived from green tea or through fermentation. We use the fermented source because we can get it more concentrated and pure that way. And then the other ingredient in this product is called casein hydrolysate. And this is a milk protein, a hydrolyzed milk protein that provides a unique peptide that has relaxing properties. This peptide is called alpha-casozapine, and it is well studied at the dose we're using of 150 milligrams for these relaxing benefits. So these are the 2 ingredients in Feel C. When you combine them in this product, this is what you can expect to what benefits you can expect to get. It's going to help you feel more calm so you can respond better to stress. It's going to help support relaxation and positive mood, and help reduce those feelings of stress so that you can really improve your sleep, right? We talked about this a little bit earlier, but when you're stressed out, a lot of times that starts to impact how well you sleep. And so if you can reduce those feelings of stress, a lot of times the improvements in sleep go with it. This is developed with clinically effective doses of both key ingredients using our 6S quality process, and is suitable for vegetarians, for those of you who find that to be important. Okay, so how do you use Feel C? Feel C is very simple. It's 1 capsule a day. It does not matter what time of day you take it. It starts to work after just 1 dose. A lot of the research actually on L-theanine shows an immediate effect, and so that's why we can share this. It starts to work after just 1 dose, but if you take it continuously, you do get added benefits throughout the course of, say, a month. So more benefit if you take it regularly. Now, some people enjoy taking it in the morning, and this is going to help them feel calmer throughout the day. Other people prefer to take it in the evening to help them relax and unwind as they get ready for bed. I encourage you to try it both ways and see which one works better for you. It's very customizable. You can do it however it works best for you and however you like it best. Okay, I want to wrap up with a couple FAQs. Just in case you get questions about this, I want you to feel prepared. So the first question is, how does L-theanine help with relaxation? So this is actually the main mechanism that we think L-theanine works. So it's an amino acid that's been studied for its effects on brain waves. So this is the electrical activity produced by the brain as it's active, as your neurons or brain cells are firing and working. They produce energy, and that energy can be measured. And when you're in a relaxed, calm mental state, you generally have more alpha brainwaves. And L-theanine actually has been shown to promote those alpha brainwaves. So again, it indicates a relaxed, calm alertness. The second question I want to cover today is, what is the difference between L-theanine in FeelC and the saffron in TRME CS control? And I think this question comes from the fact that they both talk a little bit about mood, but actually they're working in very different ways. So L-theanine, at the dose we're providing in FeelC, actually helps to promote those alpha brainwaves, to help promote a calm state and promote a healthy physiological and mental response to stress in particular. In contrast, the saffron in CS control has been studied to support mood and also help people snack less and feel less hungry in between meals. So this is really more of a product that you take if you're looking to support weight management or things like that, and the mood aspects involved in weight management. So a little bit different application. You could take them both together if you want to. If you feel like you need both products, that's totally fine. But they are working in different ways. And then the last question I want to cover is, does FeelC treat any medical conditions? And my answer for this question is the same no matter what product we're talking about. So no, FeelC is a nutritional supplement. So it's not going to treat or prevent any diseases or medical conditions. If you have a medical condition, we really want you to work with a trained medical professional to develop the appropriate treatment plan for your specific situation. Now, you can take the information about FeelC to that medical professional if you want, and see if it's going to be appropriate for your situation. But we can't claim that it treats or prevents any of these medical issues. So this is really just because it's a nutritional supplement, right? And so we don't want to promise people something that then might result in them not getting the treatment they need from a trained medical professional. So with that, that is actually everything you need to know about FeelC. If you have any other questions that I didn't cover, please reach out to Pobson and let him know what your questions are, and he can work with us to help answer all of those. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Pobson.
Thank you, Rebecca, to give your Monday night time for sharing for us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. นี่คือทั้งหมดของสัมมนาในวันนี้กับเรื่องราวของวิทยาศาสตร์จัดการความเครียดนะครับและเรื่องราวของ MYND 360 FeelC ครับนวัตกรรมที่จะมาช่วยจัดการสุขภาวะจิตที่จะมาเจอกับทุกท่านในช่วงมกราต้นปีหน้าแล้วนะครับสร้าง BR เตรียมไว้ให้พร้อมเลยเพื่อใช้คลื่นแห่ง FeelC นะครับเป็น Alpha Brainwave นะใช้คลื่น FeelC ก็ต้องเป็น Alpha Brainwave ใช้คลื่น FeelC ในการสร้างองค์กรนะครับขยายธุรกิจให้ยอดเติบโตองค์กรเติบโตไปพร้อมๆกันเลยนะครับ